Hey guys, Keylime here, this time with a bit of a weird video. I thought I would put together a money spending guide, as in a real life dollar spending guide. So as you know, this game is free to play, but there are tons of options in the game to actually spend real dollars if you want. I'm going to caveat this entire video by saying two things. One of them, you do not need to spend any money in this game to be successful, to have an awesome time. This game, as far as the value that you get for free, is actually very well done. Like, you do not need to spend money in this game at all to have a good time, to be successful, to get everything that you want. It's not that complicated to actually earn the resources that you need in this game. And I would argue that there's a lot of fun and lessons learned as a result of doing that. So do not feel obligated to spend any money at all. So with that being said, I will also cop to the fact that I've spent a lot of money in this game. So I'm somebody who's extremely impatient. This is the only game that I play these days because of my life circumstances. This is like where it's easiest to spend my time. I'm someone who's used to spending a lot of money for either buying new games or purchasing a subscription for like an MMO or something like that. So to me, it doesn't feel all that crazy to be spending money in the only game that I actually do play to try and get the most value out of it. So the point of this guide is really to tell you where the most value actually is for your money. You can spend money all over the place in this game if you want to, but there's only a handful of things that are actually worth spending money on if you want to. So, again, that's a weird caveat to this whole thing. I'm not trying to shame anybody who has made purchases that I'm going to call irrational. I've made irrational purchases myself, things that I'm going to call low value. I have purchased them myself, so there's no shame. And again, in a moment of weakness, I totally get it. That all being said, these are the actual, value attributes of all these things you could possibly buy. So I'm going to start with the thing that is the most valuable that you could buy if you wanted to buy something, which is this Death Knight armor. So Death Knight armor is the only armor in the game that will get you a full 100% benefit across all the different things. So gold, souls, XP. This is the only way that you can get 100% to all of them. So for $50, this is something that if you identify early that you're going to be playing this game a lot, this is a passive bonus that's basically giving you double the value of everything that you're getting all the time. So in terms of money that you can spend, this is honestly the best value in the entire game that you could possibly do. That all being said, there's the free alternatives or the semi-free alternatives of these. So as long as you're diligent about saving your gems for a little bit, and it honestly won't take you too long to get 500, even if you're just starting, these armors are like very comparable alternatives that are out there that won't cost you anything. So you can see if you want gold, you could purchase this one. If you want souls, you could purchase this one. If you purchase either of them and just feel like leaving it on all the time, you're going to be getting a solid bonus just from that. So again, the $50 that you're spending is just a value add over these, but not a dramatic value add over these. So no reason to be spending money again if you don't need to. These armors exist. This amount of gems is not like crazy to try and save up for. So this is a high value gem purchase if you're not going to be spending money. However, in terms of the value in the game, the Death Knight armor is the best value thing you could possibly buy. And again, the sooner you buy it, the better it actually is. So as soon as you've played this game enough that you think you could see yourself playing this game in a year, let's just say, if you think you're going to be playing that long, this is something that can absolutely net you a good amount of value. Best value in the game, that's my number one purchase recommendation. When it comes to everything in this shop icon, this is kind of like, view this shop as the most dangerous place you could be spending money. Everything that's in here is not a good value, unfortunately. And I'm sorry if the devs are going to get mad at me for saying that, but these are all impulse purchases to the max. Like when you are jonesing for that new troop and you know if you just open up more chests, you're going to totally get it. That's what these are there to try and prey on a little bit. These are not at all good values, so 2,250 gems, and that's with my bonus for my VIP level. So this would normally be 1,500 gems for $100. In terms of opening chests, like if you open up that many chests worth of gems, that's probably not going to get you what you want. 2,250 gems, I believe, might be it's 50 gems for one VIP key. So if you wanted to open up 50 VIP keys, you would need 2,500 gems to do that. That is not going to get you a mythic. That gives you a 50% chance of getting a mythic. So for $100, you're giving yourself a 50% chance, and that's at my bonus level. If this is only 1500, then that makes the deal even worse in that scenario. So like, to have a very low chance of even getting a mythic for $100 if you're using him on VIP keys, which has the best odds of getting a mythic, it's really not at all worth it. So everything in here, in terms of these, like, this is desperation spending area. This is like, if you have no willpower, this is where you go. I think I've purchased one of these once because I was super desperate, but it's never a good decision to be spending money in this area. Same deal for the subscriptions. All of these are very low value. If you look at what they get you, so maps are something that you can get passively just by playing the game all the time, so this isn't a very good value. 700 souls per day. Like, in terms of the game considers this an extremely good deal, but even if you got 700 souls for 15 days, you're looking at maybe maybe like 12,000 souls or something like that, somewhere close to that. You're not really going to be getting that much for 12,000 souls. That's enough to level up like maybe 2 troops to level 20. So for $5 to level 2 troops to level 20, this isn't worth it either. Not a very good use of your money. This amount of daily gems is something that you can easily surpass just by collecting a few daily tributes. So daily tributes will be something, or hourly tributes I should say, you'll be getting those constantly. If you're collecting that even like 3 to 5 times a day versus every hour, you'll at least get this much. So you could be saving your $5 and not having to do this. 40,000 gold per day is probably something that attracts newer players because to level up the kingdoms, it costs a lot of gold, and you wonder how could you even get this gold. Hopefully, if you've watched my beginner guide, you'll have a sense of what the best way to get gold is. It's through PvP, of course. So to get 40,000 gold in a day, that's basically like playing, let's just call it 10 PvP fights, like 10 to 15 max. That's not very hard to do. I mean, that's maybe 10 to 15 minutes of your time to do that. So that's not too crazy to expect to get that much gold. And again, this could be way more depending on what armor you're running, what VIP level you might be. So 40,000 gold for 20,000, or for $20. Starting to tongue tie myself. It's not a very good value. So even over the 15 days, this is only 600,000 gold total. That's not a lot of money, so not a good value. So everything in the subscriptions is basically not a good value. Beyond all of that, all of these are pretty bad values. So this weapon could theoretically have value, but you have no idea what this is going to be week to week. They just pop in something that's relevant to the kingdom. I would suspect that more often than not now, because of the new weapon flash offers and the fact that certain weapons are available in the Soul Forge to craft, you'll find much more value out of weapons in those areas, either the flash offers that get sent to you or the actual crafting area. I've never seen a good weapon in this area. I check it every single week just to make sure, but I have yet to see an actual high value weapon in this area. If there was a high value weapon like a trickster shot, like an Earth's Fury, like a rope dart, something like that, you could theoretically say this would be worth it at that point for $5. Similarly, the flash offers, if you get offered one of those for $5, I would argue that that's not the worst deal in the world. Those weapons are rare enough that it's worth getting them. But this is the only thing in this entire area that's potentially even worth anything. A single legendary, even if they throw in some extras, are not worth it. Like, you feel like this might be worth it because it comes with all these cool things. But in reality, the 35 event keys that you're getting would probably be enough to get you this troop in the first place. So getting a legendary out of event keys, like, it's not literally with 35, but I've made the mistake of purchasing this once because I wanted a troop really, really badly. It was Glaceon, and the event keys that I got from getting Glaceon was worth more than Glaceon himself was in that pack. Like, I ended up getting another Glaceon and then the other legendary troop that it offered with just the keys that I pulled. Granted, that's a high return. That's like higher return than the probability would suggest in that scenario, but still, the event keys that you get are probably worth more than the actual legendary that you pull in this scenario. And as you can see later on in this video, $50 is actually a really, really high number to get a legendary. There's mythics you can potentially be buying yourself for $50. So very, very bad deal. These are not very good deals at all. And then within the specials, this would be where you actually get that Death Knight armor that we talked about. But nothing else in here is worth it. This Typhoon of keys, again, like all of these keys, even if you opened up every single one of these, based on probabilities, you would be expecting maybe a few legendaries, and on a super, super off chance, you might get a mythic, all for $100. So again, this is a really not good value. You probably would look at this when you're first starting the game and think like, oh, I'll get so much stuff. You'll get a lot of troops by doing this, but you're not going to get a lot of good troops by doing this. You might get 2 to 3 good troops by doing this. Out of the, 50 plus good troops in the game, you might get 2 to 3 by spending $100. So that's really not a good use of your money. So again, nothing really good in here. Getting this many epic ingots for $25 is crazy. This is absolutely not worth it. You're not going to be using epic weapons past like maybe a week or two of your playing the game. Like after you've played for a decent amount of time, you're going to start to be getting legendary weapons, and legendary weapons are already above and beyond what this epic ingot's going to give you. You might not be getting them quite literally that fast, but the amount of value that these epic ingots has drops off completely very, very early in the game. So spending $25 is not the best use of your income as well. So everything in the shop is kind of like the danger zone. There's basically nothing in the entire shop that you would potentially want in terms of real dollars. The glory rewards, this is obviously actually a pretty good value. These are a terrible value. But nothing else in here is really worth it. Not the gems, not the subscriptions, not the weekly events, potentially the weapon at the tail end. The only special that's in here that's worth it is the Death Knight armor, and that's especially worth it. But nothing else in the shop is worth it. Don't do this. Spoilers, don't do that. So then when we look in the offer section, legendaries again for $50 is kind of crazy, and the reason for that is when you look at these other tabs that are in here. So when you look at the growth tab, the way that I think of these is kind of like starter packs. So getting up to level 50 isn't going to take you very long at all. It's also not going to take you very long at all to get to level 150. And at least when you're buying these, for only $15 you're getting a legendary, but at least you're getting a good amount of gems on top of it. So for $15, this isn't the best use of your money, but this is a much better use of your money than these bundles are. So in terms of like a starter pack kind of thing, there's worse ways you could be spending your money, but admittedly this still isn't that great of a way to spend your money. When you come over here to $50 for a mythic, this is probably like the best value that you can get besides the Death Knight armor. At least when you're buying this, you're getting a decent amount of resources and again a mythic for $50. When you think that everything else in the game is trying to get you to spend $50 for a legendary, at least when you purchase something like this, you're getting a mythic and a decent number of resources. Like the 650 gems that you're getting there are potentially higher value than like the actual stuff that you're getting in here on top of that. So as far as these growth packs go, these are probably the highest value things you can get out of all of the offer tabs that are in here. So I won't blame you if you jump into these. I'm not saying that because I've actually purchased them both. Spoilers, I've purchased all of these at some point. But I'm least ashamed of purchasing these ones, let's put it that way. So in terms of spending your money, $50 for a mythic, it's a random mythic, so be very careful if you do this. If you already have mythics and you purchase this, there's nothing stopping the game from giving you that same mythic again. So be very careful if you're doing this. Kind of like the earlier you purchase this, the safer of a purchase this would be. If you already have 6 mythics, the odds are that you're probably not going to get a duplicate mythic. But if you have like 12 mythics, if you have 20 mythics, you're starting to get into this territory where the odds are it's almost like a 50-50 chance that what you're going to get is something you already have. So be very careful when you're purchasing these. The earlier you purchase these in your career, if you want to call it that, in this game is when they're the better value. The worst thing you could do again is get a duplicate mythic out of this thing. So be very careful if you're purchasing these. Purchase them early if you are going to purchase them. And these are probably the best value in terms of like money spent to what you receive. The Path to Glory, it's a little similar. So, I mean, all of the stuff that you're getting in here is honestly not worth that much. So, I mean, if you're looking at just the gem value, you're getting like 100 there, you're getting 50 there, you're getting 50 there. So we're at 200, so 220. And this one you're getting 350. So in terms of that, you're getting more. This one you could argue you're getting value in terms of glory and some keys. But in reality, like the amount of keys that you're getting in there is so low that the odds of you getting anything useful out of these keys is also very, very low. The only thing that you would potentially get something useful out of there is that VIP key. But even then, it's a very, very low chance that you'll get something useful out of that. So if you're spending money on this one, again, you're doing it for the legendary chance. The gems that you're getting are a bad deal as far as like money spent to gems received. So if you're looking at this as like a starter pack, $15 for a legendary is an okay, it's a better deal than the bundles, let's put it that way. But again, this is the better bundles to be purchasing in terms of that. This one similarly, do not get fooled into thinking that you're going to be getting a ton of arcane trait stones as a result of doing this. I wish it was a little better displayed here. I almost feel like them displaying it this way is a little deceptive. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but it's looking like you're getting 58 arcane trait stones when you look at this, but if you watch it cycle through, you'll see that it's also including lower level trait stones as part of this. So if I sit here and look, all of a sudden I see a minor, I see a runic, and then some other stuff. So when you're all said and done by purchasing this thing, the amount of actual arcane trait stones that you're going to get is going to be closer to like 6 to 10 to all of them in some capacity. So that's really not that much. Actually, it might even be less than that as I'm looking at them cycle through. It might actually be closer to like 3 to 6. Regardless, this is not a good deal in terms of the arcane trait stones. That's not why you would purchase this. If you purchase this, you're not even going to have enough arcane trait stones to upgrade the mythic that you actually get. Let's make that comparison so it kind of makes a little more sense. If you're spending money on this, you're doing it because you want the mythic chance. And again, same conversation that we had with the growth pack. The earlier you would potentially purchase this, the better. So if you get this and you already have a bunch of mythics, there's a really good chance you might be getting a duplicate mythic as a result, and then you've essentially just wasted $50. So in terms of deals, these bundles are not very good. Of all of the things in here, this growth pack area is probably the best value as far as I'm concerned. Path to Glory, again, like not the worst. These are all certainly better than everything that was in the shop that we reviewed before. But again, this isn't, all the stuff you're getting up to the day where you get the legendary or the mythic is not nearly as valuable as you may think they are. And then when we get to power, it's the same kind of conversation. So you think this is a ton of ingots, but if it's 30 days of 5 ingots, that's 150 ingots. That's like getting 3 weapons fully leveled. There's like probably 50, I don't know if it's 50 to 100, but it's somewhere in that range of like legendary weapons. Spending $15 to only get this many ingots is not really that valuable. If you delve at all, if you do 1 delve a day, I promise you will get more ingots than this overall at the end of the day, and you'll be getting mythic ingots along the way. So in terms of value, you're not doing this for the ingots. You're doing this again for that chance of getting a legendary. I would argue this is not really the best value in the game. Legendaries are not so hard to come by that you would spend money to try and get them. And again, for this one, this is almost like worse in a way. So you're getting mythic ingots, which might feel like it's super amazing, but if you actually look at how many mythic ingots you get, you're not really going to get enough to even level a single mythic weapon up to full. So in terms of value, you're not really getting a ton out of this. At least this one, you were completing 3 legendary weapons. When you're getting this one, you're not even doing that. So it's not really worth it. You're not going to care about any of these lower level ingots very, very quickly. Like you'll care about them for maybe, when you're level 0 to level like 300, not even, like maybe 200. And then suddenly all of those ingots don't matter, and the only ones that do are the legendary and the mythic ingots. So you're getting a bunch of fluff that you don't really care about. Like in terms of ingots, this is actually the better deal than this. But again, you're doing this for the mythic chance. So $50 for a mythic chance, the sooner you buy it, the better. You could still get a dupe. Be careful about that. This monthly thing is not a good deal. You'll see I purchase it, so I'll hang my head in shame a little bit there. But in terms of what you get, so compare this to the Death Knight armor that we talked about before. The Death Knight armor was 100% to all of these for a one-time purchase of $50. This is a $20 purchase that you make, and it's only good for a month. So this being only good for a month means that if I purchase this more than twice, I may as well have just purchased the Death Knight armor, because I would have been getting way better value and it would last me forever, versus this thing is done after a month. The fact that it's giving me this is kind of inconsequential. Like this is not really going to be that much in the grand scheme of things. There's really no reason to do this. I admittedly do it pretty much every month without fail, but I will fully cop to the fact that this is not a good return on investment in terms of like value compared to other purchases you could make. So that's within the offer section. And then finally, there's the flash offers that get offered. So when you get a flash offer, it'll generally be something like 100 gems for $2. That is at least a much better offer than what you could get out of the shop. But it's like, I won't blame you if you get enticed by those bundles, because in terms of value, they are always a much better value than whatever you could be getting passively out of the shop. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a good value, but it's certainly a better value than what's in the shop. So if you're getting sent these offers, certainly at least check them out. See if like you're feeling, a little looser than normal and you feel like jumping in there and purchasing them. If you're someone who likes to spend money, the most efficient use of your money is going to be on those flash offers in there. Staying away from the shop is going to be your best bet, and staying away from the offers tab is going to be your best bet. The flash offers are actually a pretty decent value. The Death Knight armor is certainly a very good value if you're going to be playing for a long time, but of course there's free alternatives. So all of this is to say that if you don't want to spend any money at all, there's actually tons of ways that you can be doing all the things that you could be doing by spending money. It might take a little bit more time to do it, but honestly, you can have a ton of fun. You can still collect everything. It doesn't feel restrictive to not spend any money in this game. So don't feel pressured to spend any money. Don't feel like by spending a ton of money, you're going to be able to accelerate yourself a ton. Honestly, the amount of money you would have to spend to accelerate yourself a ton is a lot more than you think it would be. I've admittedly spent a ton of money in this game to try and accelerate myself a lot. And I probably did accelerate myself a little bit, but like maybe I saved myself like a few months total time investment, which sounds like a ton, but I've been playing for a year. So I mean, when you're thinking of it as like a year has gotten me to this point where I still don't have everything, if I did just been playing for a year and 3 months, I would be about where I am now. Like, that's not an exact science, but that's probably close. So in reality, like, I'm not really accelerating things that much in the grand scheme of things by not having spent any of that money. So honestly, it's a kudos to the developers. I know a lot of us probably get annoyed by the flash offers that pop up, the pop-ups with these random offer screens. The game is trying to get you to spend money, but it's kind of like a kudos to the developers that you don't have to at all, to be having a great time, to be getting everything that you want, to be joining good guilds, having a good time with events. You absolutely don't have to spend a dime. The only thing that I would tell you is Death Knight armor, flash offers, that's where the highest value is. Potentially this growth packs, if you want to do that when you're first starting, just kind of view this as like a digital exclusive, like bonus pack DLC thing that you could be getting. These aren't the worst deals in the planet. Still not the best, but as far as everything else in the game goes, if it's not a flash offer, the Death Knight armor, or those growth packs, they're very questionable purchases. Not the highest value purchases, let's say. So hopefully that kind of helps. This is a money spending guide from admittedly someone who spent a lot of money. I've made shameful purchases, I've made impulsive purchases, but hopefully this guide gives you a better sense of where it's intelligent to spend your money versus where it's not. So maybe this will at least convince you to not pull the trigger on something in the shop because you're feeling itchy to get something. Hopefully this might tell you that, waiting for a flash offer would probably be a better route to go than anything else. So that's my weird guide on spending money on Gems of War. Hopefully you found it interesting. Otherwise, I hope to get you next time with something a little more interesting to you. But this is Key Lime signing off. Thanks, guys.